I've got your energy stories for the third week of July 2022. First of all, let's talk some macro issues and headwinds before we move into tech talk. In a sobering reminder of what our future world could look like, and soon, all we have to do is look at Europe, which is caught in the grip of a brutal heat wave. The UK is set to break records today, and its National Railway tweeted out this morning, July 18th, the Met Office has issued its first red extreme heat warning with record temperatures forecast, and further warned, only travel if absolutely necessary in England and Wales today. Meanwhile, at the Tour de France, they were watering some of the pavement with a stockpile of up to 10,000 liters of water as they expected pavement temperatures to reach up to 158 degrees Fahrenheit. In this country, in an apparent effort to accelerate this heating process, a Pennsylvania state judge issued an injunction blocking the ability of Pennsylvania to enter the Eastern States Regional Greenhouse Gas Initiative, which would reduce emissions of the gen fleet. Also this week, West Virginia's Senator Joe Manchin also piled on with the bad news that he was not going to support new spending on climate initiative. It's not like we have a real problem out there, so why should Senator Manchin or an entire party on the other side of the aisle try and do anything concrete to rein in climate change? Okay, sarcasm aside, on to some more encouraging news. The Tennessee Valley Authority just issued an RFP for 5,000 megawatts of carbon-free energy by 2029 because, according to CEO Jeff Lyask, this announcement is a clear signal to our industry, our partners, and our nation that we need to move further and faster together to make a cleaner future a reality. TVA also plans on an additional 10,000 megawatts of solar energy capacity by 2035. Invenergy announced it will expand the size of its $7 billion Grain Belt Express high-voltage transmission line from Kansas to Indiana in response to strong demand for wind energy. It'll boost the line from 4,000 to 5,000 megawatts and drop off half of its energy in Missouri, boosting its midpoint delivery capacity from 500 to 2,500 megawatts. Now let's move to a ton of electric vehicle stuff. First, China. There, sales of EVs hit over 570,000 in June. For comparison's sake, we sold 640,000 in the US all of last year. This was a new monthly record in China, and EV sales in the first half of 2022 hit almost 2.5 million. Again, for comparison's sake, the Department of Transportation announced last week that US cumulative plug-in sales hit 2.6 million as of April. So while the US numbers pale next to China, the trend is good. It took 8 years to hit the first 1 million, thanks Elon, 2.5 years for the second million, thanks again Elon, and only 10 months to go from there to the current 2.6 million. And here's the interesting thing about that growth. In Q2, EV sales represented 5.6% of total US car sales, up from 2.7% in Q2 of last year. There are now more than 30 models available, and if Bloomberg is right, once we move past 5%, we enter a new stage and we move into go mode. Bloomberg looked at 18 other countries that had passed the 5% sales threshold and found that that's the critical tipping point after which sales numbers accelerate. That classic tech adoption S-curve applies here as well, it seems. Bloomberg says, quote, if the US follows the trend established by 18 countries that came before it, a quarter of new car sales could be electric by the end of 2025, unquote. A bunch of companies are going to make this happen, and here are a few stories from this week on that. GM is teaming up with charging company EVGA to install up to 500 DC fast charging stations, 2,000 chargers in total, across the U.S. at Pilot and Flying J travel centers. This will happen between 2023 and 2025, and the chargers will be sized at 350 kW, about every 50 miles across the U.S. highway. An increasingly large number of vehicles using those stations will be Ford pickups, it appears. The company just announced it will follow its F-150 Lightning and add juice to its smaller Maverick and Ranger pickups. In the US, the names may be Maverick Thunder and Ranger Thunder. Okay. The International Energy Agency just noted that EV sales tripled over the past 2 years, with all of the net 2021 growth in global car sales coming from electric. This indeed may be the peak sales year for internal combustion engines. The future mansion we all live in has got to be clean and green. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again next week.